Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78 from Brookfield, Illinois at the Galloping Ghost Arcade. Yeah, the largest in the world since 2010. A gentleman named Doc started this thing as kind of a side project to his passion, which is making this video game that he's been working on for 30 years. 30 years. It's been remade, I think, 3 times, and there's a documentary about it right now at a Kickstarter to finish it off. My friend Craig, who's inside here, we're going to talk to him in a second. He's the one who started this entire process, this documentary. He's got over 50 odd interviews, 200 hours of video. They're narrowing it down to tell this incredible story that I am for sure that you're going to see on some streaming platform here in the future. That is the story from the 78 here in Brookfield, Illinois. All right, so you're looking at a living legend, not only in the gaming community, but right here in Brookfield. Hey, Craig Bass, you're the gentleman who is shining a little bit of light on this. So how you doing, Craig?
Great, thank you.
So talk about your project, because you're wearing the t-shirt
Yep.
with what's happening here, but explain what this project is and the Kickstarter that you have going on to tell this amazing story about not only this arcade that is a little part of it, but more of the game that gentleman on the screen was. Who was the person we were watching there?
Sure, so Doc Mack is the owner of the largest arcade in the world, which is here in Brookfield, Illinois. We're standing in there right now, Galloping Ghost.
Yep.
And what most people don't know, they know that he owns the arcade, or people in the retro gaming community know that he owns the arcade, but they don't know that he's been working on his own game for nearly 30 years now. So I think since he was 17 years old.
You said 30 years.
Yeah, well, nearly. 28 to be specific.
That's incredible, though. How does one not get a game done within that 28-year span?
That's a good question. But it has an answer. He started when he was 17.
Oh, okay.
And,
Big ambitions.
Big ambitions, yeah. He just knew this is what he wanted to do because it was what he loved. I felt the same way about film, so I relate to that. But then realized that he didn't know how to do it.
Sure.
There was no internet, so and there certainly weren't any manuals on doing this. So he thought, well, the easiest way to do it will be to do it like Mortal Kombat did. We'll film real people on green screen, because I can't draw and we can't animate, but we could probably pull that off. So we started there and got somebody to grant him a derelict Remax office for 10 days to film in, put up a bolt of green fabric, got his sister, her boyfriend, some friends together, made some quick costumes, and filmed the first iteration of the game.
Unbelievable.
But after working with it for about a year, trying to figure out how to transform it into a game, realized they'd made a lot of mistakes, which is totally understandable.
Sure.
So gets another storefront, goes back in, shoots for 4 months this time, taking the lessons they learned. And following that was like a 10-year period of trying to get the game done, going through different programmers, keying all the footage out, which is like removing the green screens, trying to pull all the pieces together, finding the money to do it. It was a process. Well, after you spend 10 years on this, you can imagine technology has evolved.
HD comes along, right?
HD comes along, which is a huge thing. And he realizes, he sort of had a right-hand man at the time named Matt Buck. And he said, Buck, we have 2 options here, I think. We either just scrap this and move on, or we refilm it. I'm going to give you till October 31st. On October 31st, give me your answer. So he tells Buck this, a month before Halloween or whatever. And on Halloween, Buck says, we got to reshoot it. It looks,
dated.
Too dated.
Yeah.
So he goes, okay. Gets an abandoned warehouse in town this time. Gets
All
a
in
real
Brookfield
green
area.
All in Breeze. Never left Brookfield. All in Brookfield.
Unbelievable.
Gets a more official, newer green screen, newer camera. And he thinks, well, we almost got that first game done, and they did. Why not shoot a sequel? By this point, he'd written something like 1,600 pages of story for the characters, for the world. He created new characters. So I think he couldn't help himself but to expand this. So then you get this this second game, Conquering Light, which is a sequel, gets put into the mix as well. So they spend 4 years filming these. And then, kind of to make a long story short, one of the actors in the game sells a business he has. Decides he wants to do something more fun and interesting. Asks Doc, do you have any ideas for a business that is fun and interesting? And Doc says, well, I have a business plan for an arcade. And the actor, Jerry, says, can I use your plan? And Doc says, of course, we're making an arcade game. I need a flagship, facility for this game.
Absolutely.
You'll be the first one with the game. And Jerry says, awesome. And in the quest of starting the arcade, Jerry realizes a lot of towns don't want arcades there. He's having a hard time finding games, so he says, Doc, will you assist me? Doc's very hesitant because he just wants to finish Dark Presence and now Conquering
It's been a few years at this point. Let's get the game done.
Let's get it done. And but he kind of hesitantly agrees, and then 2 years after, him and Jerry kind of parted ways. Jerry pursued some other interests. And, that was 10 years ago that they parted ways, and the arcade's been around for 12 years. And in that time period, he grew it to be the largest arcade in the world, possibly ever, with over 900 and some odd games, and a new game coming out every Monday.
Every Monday, a new game.
Yeah.
And it's not new, they're old games, but they're new.
Yeah.
But that's incredible, because some of these games are not seen anywhere else in the entire world. There's a couple games here that are very unique to this place, which I didn't know about. But I'm talking to the gentleman behind the counter
David,
there.
Yeah.
He talked about certain games here that are only here, which I find incredible.
Prototypes, all sorts of things that no one has ever seen before that are only here at Galloping Ghost. So yeah, it's a very unique experience. Most people think of him as the arcade guy. I mean, globally, he's known globally. There's arcades in Japan, which was sort of the mecca of arcade.
Sure, the epicenter almost, right?
Right, that are now using Galloping Ghost as their business model. So it's really, he's had an international impact. And the thing was, people they don't know the story of his game and how that's what started everything and how it's still going on. And when I learned this whole story that I've tried to summarize, in a few minutes here, I was like, oh my God, that's a film. That is easily a 90 to 100 minute film at least. That transcends the category within which it fits. I'm not making this to appeal to video game aficionados. It should,
right,
by default.
But it's the story. It's not necessarily the game at this point. It's the story so far. Because in this brief moment that we've been talking, the story is compelling. It's nostalgic. It's it's got a little bit of everything that you love from when you were a kid. I mean, we were kind of similar in age with growing up and what video games did for us as kids and our imaginations. It's still happening right now with this entire story. It's awesome.
The weird thing is, I'm a film guy, and his quest has been to make a game. My quest is to make my own cinematic empire. Him and I are 5 years apart. And we only grew up 15 minutes apart. I'm like, man, if we had just crossed paths earlier.
Oh, man. At an arcade, perhaps, right?
Yeah, at an arcade, perhaps. I guarantee you I'd be one of these people on the screen, and I would have helped behind the camera. It's inevitable.
So talk about the Kickstarter campaign and what that is and just a little bit more about Doc. It seems like the story itself of him as a person is fascinating, just based on the footage that you've already captured in the background of certain elements that we've seen.
Yeah, Doc is a very eccentric dude, but not in an unapproachable way. He's kind of, I don't know, I think it's that who he was as a kid, he's kept alive. It's not that he's not an adult, that he's not mature. He's a shrewd businessman. He's a very. Are you kidding me?
Right now I'm wearing Freddy Krueger themed Vans. So
yes.
I understand what you mean.
You get what I'm saying. So I think especially people like us can respect, he's carved his place out in the world. He's made a life out of video games, martial arts, which was a big inspiration.
Godzilla, right?
Godzilla. He is one of, if not the largest Godzilla model collectors in the world, and runs perhaps the most comprehensive Godzilla modeling site on the planet. In fact, recently he started Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, which is his own Godzilla modeling company that are making limited edition models to sell both stateside, but especially at conventions in Japan, where obviously Godzilla is even bigger.
That's phenomenal.
It's just if there's something he's into and he loves, he makes it a part of his everyday life. And to me, that's crazy inspiring. Most people, I feel like, unfortunately, are living a watered-down version of the life that they want to be living.
100%.
That cannot be said for Doc.
But you said you guys grew up about, 15 minutes apart?
Yeah.
So you're a Brookfield native, right?
No, I was 15 minutes from Brookfield.
Got it. So, but in the area is what I mean.
In the Chicagoland area.
So it's a very cool story that is a Chicago story, though, which 100%. Is appealing in itself, because I feel like the Midwest doesn't get as much love as other parts of the country in terms of storytelling and things like that. Aside from like Stranger Things that happened in Indiana, right? But like outside of that,
not what was filmed in Atlanta.
Right, I know,
so,
exactly, right? That's my point. But this is a great story, period. Great story for gamers, collectors, and just for that kid who never wanted to stop dreaming, right?
Yeah.
And you, as a filmmaker, getting to do this documentary has had to been really rewarding, you know, just to be able to be a part of this story so far, right?
Yeah, I always tell people this actually really shaped my life doing this, because I run a video production company, and I've run it for almost 15 years now.
What's the production company?
It's called Motion Source.
There we go.
And
Ding, ding.
the reason I started Motion Source was really to put food on the table while I was honing my craft as a filmmaker. So, you know, why not do something very closely related to filmmaking, making movies, while making my way as a filmmaker? And the past 15 years, it's been great that the company's been relatively successful, but it's also forced me to focus most of my creative efforts on short form material. So I've done like 40 music videos, I've done a bunch of short films, fashion films, dance films, but I was holding myself back from doing features. You kind of get like, well, this is my life now, you know,
right.
I get a taste of what I want. When I decided to make this film, I kind of just jumped into it. I didn't put a lot of thought into it, and but in doing it, I've realized, no. I'm going to make films full time. I still have the production company. We still have great clients. But I've started another company called Year of the Phoenix, which is a film development company for which this is the first feature film. My destiny is to make movies. And that was something that the art influenced the artist here. Like, talking to Doc and seeing what he did, taking the chances, rolling the dice, just working hard at it, keep plugging forward. That influenced me, man. So it's been a very rewarding experience. It's changed my life, unless taking this path leads me to ruin, and then it will have been a terrible experience.
No, you'll be fine. This is
you.
an incredible story. The Kickstarter information, send that out now, because I know that's important right now to get to where you want this story to be from a visual standpoint. You got a lot of it done, but there's a couple of things that you want to put, maybe just buttoning it up a little bit through the eyes of the storytelling that you really want to do. How can people help?
So if you go to ghostlordkickstarter.com/start, which hopefully will be in the notes here.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You can go to the Kickstarter now. We try to have a lot of really cool incentives to kind of get people involved in the experience of this project. And yeah, we're 10 days in, 12 days in, something like that, and we're about halfway there, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
We've still got half a mountain to climb, though, so we can use any help that we can get. We'd be very grateful for. Sorry, go ahead.
No, good.
I was going to say, I'm very transparent. I've spent $60,000 of my own money on this, and I don't make that much money, so this is every kind of spare dollar.
It's an investment for you, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a huge investment. So we're trying to raise another $60,000 of other people's money now that want to get involved and be a part of this story. So yeah, we put just an immense amount of work and time into it, and I do believe that it will be a film unlike any other. And I encourage people to get involved and be a part of that experience.
What's coming out first, do you think? The game or the movie?
Well, the game is very playable, so most of what's left is polish. It's some music, some lighting, finishing moves, and it's very fun. But I don't know.
Well,
Since
we'll have
I've
to watch and
started,
see.
You know what everyone says? It's always 6 months away.
Yeah.
And since I've started working on the film, I've experienced it's always 6 months away. So if I had to put money on it, I might say the film. Maybe they'll come out simultaneously.
That would be wonderful. Well, there we go. That's the name of the film there. This is Craig. We got to thank Lydia there. She's a producer on the film and the whole thing, helping you out. And this place, look at this. There's a line to get into this place on a Saturday here in Chicago. It's wonderful. It was great talking with you. I'm going to put this on me real quick. TomBarneyChicago@gmail.com if you have a suggestion for a story from the 78 or storiesfromthe78.com. Good luck, sir.
Thank
Kickstarter. I can't believe the crowd here. Wonderful.